One of the most anticipated F1 rebrands is almost ready to be unveiled to the world, as we're a little over a month away from Aston Martin Formula 1 debuting their car and livery. The buzz surrounding the rebranded team, formerly known as Racing Point, is quite evident all over social media, and fans especially can't wait to see Aston Martin back on the Formula 1 grid. Not only is there a ton of excitement over the return of an iconic brand to the sport, it is also the addition of a former world champion to the Silverstone squad that makes Aston Martin's 2021 driver lineup one of the most interesting. Sebastian Vettel will partner Canadian Lance Stroll for 2021 after spending 6 years with Ferrari. Vettel and Stroll have come a long way since 2017, when they were introduced to each other in one of the most bizarre post-race incidents we've ever seen. Now here we are, some 4 years later, and the two are teammates. In this video, we're going to be breaking down the tale of the tape between the two drivers and how they stack up against each other. We'll then look at each driver individually, and then just take a quick glance ahead to the 2021 season and what we can expect from the Aston Martin driver lineup. The dynamic at Aston Martin with these two drivers is one that is very intriguing and curious to say the least. On the one hand, you have a young driver who is entering his 5th season of Formula 1 on the back of a career year and a lot of momentum. And then, on the other side of the garage, you have one of the most successful F1 drivers ever who is coming off of his worst season to date in the sport. So, let's look at how these two drivers match up against each other. Sebastian Vettel is quite used to having youthful teammates the last couple of seasons, so being 10 years the elder to Lance Stroll won't really be something out of the ordinary. Of course, one of the biggest differences you can see here between the two drivers is the level of experience in Formula 1. Vettel has done 179 more races than Stroll, and of course has achieved far greater success than the young Canadian. I wanted to highlight the two stats at the bottom that will be key for their head-to-head in 2021. Lance Stroll has struggled in the last few seasons when it comes to one-lap pace, although a lot of that can be chalked up to insufficient machinery in his Williams days. He's only outqualified his teammate 24% of the time in Formula 1. Stroll made significant qualifying improvements in 2020 with a much better car under him, so he'll need to continue that run of form and improve it even more. When it comes down to racecraft, the two Aston Martin drivers match up much closer though. Vettel has outraced his teammates 64% of the time in his career versus Stroll's 39%. Stroll has shown in his young F1 career that his race pace is his strong suit, which would make a good grid start all the more important in 2021. Vettel was regularly outpaced by Leclerc in 2020, both in qualifying and the race due to his unhappiness with the SF1000. What will be interesting to see is whether the green Mercedes will suit Vettel's driving style and give him some confidence at the rear end of the car. It's a great dynamic of youthful enthusiasm versus experienced success at a new team with hopes of challenging at the front. Let's take a look at each driver individually and what they bring to the Aston Martin team. Coming off of his best season of Formula 1, Stroll has a lot of optimism and confidence heading into 2021. After starting his career off in a struggling Williams team, Stroll has a brilliant opportunity to really showcase his talent at Aston Martin. Quote, "Whenever I'm at the factory, you can feel the buzz and the energy," Stroll said. "We're ready for this. There's so much hunger in the team and I just can't wait to get the season started." Stroll was able to bag 2 of his 3 career podiums in 2020 and capped off a great season with a stunning pole in wet conditions in Turkey. His championship result of 11th was a career high, but when you look at his average start and finish positions, those will definitely need to come up in this Aston Martin era. Stroll's last season was very solid, but it could have been even better considering his success that his teammate Sergio Perez had. Some unfortunate crashes and illnesses led him to miss out on more points, but if the Aston Martin car will be as strong as Racing Point's last year, there'll be no excuse anymore for the young Canadian. Lance Stroll has earned his spot in F1 and has shown he's not just a pay driver. With that said, he's also entering his 5th season in the sport, so we can't really consider him a young driver per se. The pressure will be on to deliver consistent results the team can rely on. Stroll has proven his quickness in the sport, but consistency has been one of his main issues so far in his young F1 career. There was a time in the 2020 season that we thought Sebastian Vettel was done with Formula 1. Ferrari no longer needed his services, and Vettel had come to terms with the fact that his dreams of championship glory in Ferrari were done. Talks of retirement back in May seemed like the likely path, and as the season got started and Ferrari were brutally slow, it almost looked like a certainty. But by the summer of 2020, things changed rapidly, and a wise old businessman by the name of Lawrence Stroll pulled off a masterstroke and signed Vettel to the newly minted Aston Martin team. It's really funny how things work out in Formula 1, as we all felt horrible for Sergio Perez at the time for losing his seat, but now he's got a shot at a top team like Red Bull, so in the end, it all worked out for everyone. Looking at Vettel's career resume, it speaks for itself. He brings 4 world championships to Aston Martin along with 53 race victories and 57 poles. He's consistently put his car in the top 6 throughout his career, and he'll be looking to do the same at his new team. So what can we expect from Vettel in 2021? As bad as his last season was, personally I feel that Vettel's struggles were a little bit overblown. We don't have to go back very far to remember Vettel scoring race victories and pole positions for Ferrari, so he certainly hasn't forgotten how to drive. Let's think back to the last time Vettel switched teams back in 2015. After a dismal final year at Red Bull, where he was outpaced by another young teammate, Vettel re-injuvenated himself and came back very strong in 2015 and the years to follow. Starting fresh at Aston Martin will be great for Vettel in my opinion, and I think the team environment surrounding him will be much better than at the Scuderia. The Silverstone factory has had some great drivers in the team's long history, but never somebody with the pedigree of Sebastian Vettel. Although his struggles in the last few seasons, let us not forget that Sebastian Vettel is the 3rd most winningest driver in Formula 1 history, and he's got a point to prove next season. Although the big rule changes have been postponed to 2022, there are still significant changes coming to the cars next season. We covered this in our 4 things to watch for in the 2021 season video that if you haven't seen it, you could find in the description below for more detail. With a good chunk of the floor being cut and overall downforce reduced, how will that affect a team like Aston Martin? Mercedes have always had a longer wheelbase design, which a team like Racing Point, or now Aston Martin, have followed, so maybe it'll be easier for them to adapt. Or maybe it will go the other way around. Will the trimming of downforce make the car even harder to drive, which might not suit Vettel's driving style? These are all interesting questions that won't be answered until at least the winter testing begins in March. Putting that aside, I'm very much looking forward to Aston Martin on the grid and their driver lineup, which I think is one of the most interesting so far on the grid. I honestly think we can expect a new and improved Vettel that will gather the team around his championship pedigree and forge ahead towards bigger and better things. Lance Stroll will be able to learn a lot from Vettel just like he did with Sergio Perez, and who knows, he might even be able to get the best out of Vettel throughout the season. If Aston Martin's form continues from 2020, they very well could be on the podium again multiple times and possibly even on the top step more than once. I think this dynamic between Stroll and Vettel will be able to be pretty successful. Stroll has always worked well with his fellow teammates, so I don't see him and Vettel coming together too much on track. There certainly is a lot of hype around Aston Martin, and I can't wait to see if they could live up to it in 2021. So what do you think about the teammate pairing of Sebastian Vettel and Lance Stroll at Aston Martin? Let me know down in the comments below what you expect from Vettel and Stroll in 2021 and how they're going to get along at Aston Martin. As we're still a few weeks away from winter testing and car livery reveals, we're going to be looking at the tail of the tape between the new driver lineups heading into 2021. So make sure to hit that red subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss those videos coming up in the next couple weeks. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, and also check out the rest of the videos on the Backmarkers F1 Show channel. Thank you very much for joining us today. I've been your host, Chris Cato, and until the next video, we'll see you then.